So now let us go to the second type of reaction. And the second type of reaction is decomposition reaction. So now let me tell you what is the meaning of decomposition. Decomposition meaning is breakdown. So the meaning of decomposition is breakdown. So in a reaction where one kind of reactant, only one reactant is broken down to give two or more products. So a type of reaction in which one reactant is breaking down to give two or more products on heating or any other process is called as decomposition reaction. Now let me explain you this reaction with an example. There is activity 1.5 in your textbook. In that experiment it says that take a test tube, usually it is a dry test tube. Take a dry test tube and for that dry test tube add 2 grams of ferrous sulfate crystals. After adding ferrous sulfate crystals, you are supposed to heat it. And they are saying that there are some changes happening, and let us look what are the changes happening, for what reason it is happening. So they are saying first take the dry test tube. For that you are adding ferrous sulfate crystals. Ferrous sulfate. So now let us see what is the chemical reaction for this experiment. Ferrous sulfate. Ferrous is Fe. It is iron. Ferrous is iron. So Fe. Sulfate SO4. FeSO4. How much they have added? 2 grams. So we will write 2 FeSO4 is taken in a dry test tube and it is heated. Correct? So it is heated. So on heating, our ferrous sulfate, which is only one reactant, will give out some number of products. Fe2O3. Fe2O3 is ferric oxide. So FeSO4 crystals, that is ferrous sulfate crystals, on heating will give Fe2O3, that is ferric oxide, plus SO2 plus SO3. So SO3 is gas, SO2 is gas, so they will evaporate. Fe2O3 is solid. Fe2SO4 is also solid. They are crystals, right? So FeSO4 on heating we get Fe2O3, that is ferric oxide, along with 2 types of gases, that is SO2 and SO3. Now they are saying when you heat this FeSO4, there are some changes happening. They are saying there is change in color. Color of the crystal is changing. Now initially FeSO4 is greenish in color. Our FeSO4 crystals are green in color, but on heating they will lose this green color. They will change their green color. Why is this happening? That is because there is some chemical reaction happening. So let us see what is happening. Now for example, when you take say 1 liter of water at your home and you start boiling it. After boiling for somewhere half an hour something, the 1 liter of water what you had initially kept would not remain the same. Instead, it would have reduced. It will not be 1 liter exactly after half an hour of heating. So something there is what happening? It is evaporating. Some amount of water would have evaporated. Similarly, when you heat FeSO4 crystals, which was initially green in color, actually FeSO4 crystals are not just FeSO4. Instead, it is having 7 molecules of water. So FeSO4 crystals, for simple form we write it as FeSO4, but this FeSO4 crystal is having some amount of water in it. It is having 7 molecules of water attached to it. So when we start heating, it will lose this water. When we start heating FeSO4 crystals in a dry test tube, on heating it will start losing this water molecule, and then we will be getting this ferric oxide. So since it is losing water, it will give up this green color also. So it will no longer be green color after heating. It will change into white ferric oxide. So that is why FeSO4 changes its color. You will get a question saying why FeSO4 changes color on heating. So FeSO4 crystals, it will be having 7 molecules of water with it. On heating, it will lose that water molecules. So on losing water molecules, the color of the FeSO4 will change from green color to other color. So now we can see here that FeSO4, which is one reactant, on heating there is a chemical reaction taking place and it is giving us 3 different products. So one reactant which is broken down to give 3 different or 2 or more products, that type of reaction is called as decomposition reaction. So this was one example. Let me give another example for decomposition reaction. Calcium carbonate. Ca is calcium, carbonate CO3. Calcium carbonate on heating. Calcium carbonate on heating will decompose. Decompose means it will break down to give CaO. CaO is calcium oxide. CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, will decompose, that is it will break down on heating in order to give calcium oxide. CaO is calcium oxide and CO2. CO2, carbon dioxide, is a gas. So now one reactant on heating, it is decomposing. Decomposing means it is breaking down in order to give calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So this is another example for decomposition reaction. So you can see that in previous reaction, that is in previous example and in this example, on heating there is decomposition taking place or chemical reaction happening. Such reactions where heat is involved in decomposition or in breaking down of the reactant in order to form products, such type of reactions are called as thermal decomposition reactions. So I'll see you once again. A type of reactions which involve heating where a single reactant is decomposed or broken down to give different products is called as thermal decomposition reactions. So let me give you another example for decomposition reaction. So in your textbook there is an activity given, activity 1.6. It says that take a test tube. In this test tube, you are adding 2 grams of lead nitrate and then we are heating it. So it says that take a test tube. To this test tube add 2 grams of lead nitrate and after adding you are heating it. So let us put up this in a chemical way. They are saying lead nitrate. Lead is Pb. Lead is Pb. Nitrate NO3. But you can't. Nitrate is NO3. But since it is combining with lead, it will be PbNO3 the whole twice. Only for NO3 you will be putting the whole brackets and writing twice here. So lead nitrate is written as Pb NO3 the whole twice. Since you are taking 2 grams, we write here 2 moles. So 2 moles of PbNO3 twice, that is lead nitrate, we are taking in a test tube. And after taking it, we are heating it. We are heating it. So on heating, we will get PbO, that is lead oxide, plus NO2 plus O2. So we will be getting 2 PbO, 4 NO2 and O2. Now in your activity it says that when you take lead nitrate and when you start heating, say this is your test tube, you have taken lead nitrate here and there you are heating it. When you are heating it, there is fumes produced. Fumes are being produced. So we are getting so many products on heating lead nitrate. Correct? We are getting PbO, that is lead oxide, NO2 and O2. PbNO3 twice, that is lead nitrate is solid. PbO, lead oxide. PbO is lead oxide. So even this will be a solid. So solid can't be in the form of fumes, correct? So fume is not lead oxide. But these two, among these two, then they are saying fumes are coming. These fumes are composed of what? So these fumes are composed of nothing but our NO2, nitrogen dioxide. N is nitrogen, O2 we are having, 2O we are having, so dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. So the fumes are composed of nitrogen dioxide. So this is what your activity 1.6 is saying. So now under decomposition reaction, there is another one example which is very much important in your exam point of view. So this example also comes under decomposition reaction, which is your activity 1.7. This is very much important. It is electrolysis of water. In this case, the diagram is very much important. So now let me explain to you. In this activity it says that first take a plastic mug. So let me draw a plastic mug. So you're taking a plastic mug and they're saying you to drill 2 holes at the base of the plastic jar. So you have drilled 2 holes and in this hole you'll be inserting carbon electrode at the 2 holes also. So at the 2 holes we will be inserting 2 carbon electrodes and we will be putting a plug over here, a rubber plug or rubber stopper, so that it is fixed properly to this hole. Next to these each electrode will be inverting a test tube which is filled with water. Say there is a test, we are taking a test tube which is filled with water and we are inverting over it. It is having water in it and you're inverting it on this electrodes. So in this beaker we'll be having water and there is sulfuric acid present in this, H2SO4. Sulfuric acid is H2SO4. Now these two electrodes are connected to a battery of 6 volt. The capacity of this battery, how much current it can give is 6 volt. So the battery of 6 volt, we are connecting it to it. This carbon electrodes. This side electrode is anode and this side electrode is cathode. Anode is always positive, cathode is always negative. So positive electrode is always called as anode electrode, negative electrode is always called as cathode. Now when you switch on the battery, so this is how for this experiment electrolysis of water, this is how the experiment setup is done, or the diagram. This diagram is very much important. Now let us see how it works, the procedure, how it works. You will switch on the battery. So when you switch on the battery, 6 volt of electricity is passed. Now when the electricity is passing, so let me first tell you what is the meaning of lysis. Lysis is breakdown or to split. Splitting or breakdown is the meaning of lysis. Electro means electricity. Electro means electricity. Lysis means breakdown or splitting. And water, we know it is H2O. Water is H2O. So the process of splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen on passage of electricity is called as electrolysis of water. I'll repeat the definition once again. The process in which the water is splitting into its components, that is hydrogen and oxygen, on passing electricity is called as electrolysis of water. So now you will switch on the battery, current is being passed. Now the water which is present over here and the test tube, on passage of electricity, H2O will get broken down or splitted into hydrogen and oxygen. Now when H2O is split into its components, it will be H plus O2 minus. Whenever the compound is splitted or it is broken down, if the components are separated, they will be separated in the form of ions. Ions are the ones which are having charges on them. So hydrogen will have +1 charge, oxygen will have -2 charge. So now water, here we can see, now the water is split and there is release of H plus ions and there is release of O2 minus ions. There is release of O2 minus ions. Now here we are having H plus ions and O2 minus ions. So now which ion will move towards which electrode? So we can see this is anode, means it is positively charged. So always opposite charges or the opposite poles attract. Similarly here anode is positively charged, correct? So this positive will always attract negatively charged ion. So towards anode, oxygen gas will, means the oxygen ions will come and settle over here in the form of gas bubbles. Then towards cathode, which is negatively charged, these H plus ions which are positively charged will come and get collected above the electrode here. Now we can see H is here hydrogen in H2O. Then here we have 2 molecules of hydrogen, 1 molecule of oxygen, correct? So always here oxygen the hydrogen amount will be more. Hydrogen amount will be more compared to oxygen. Your oxygen gas which will be collected over here will be less compared to the hydrogen. Question will be asked, why there is imbalance in the collection of hydrogen and oxygen gas above the electrode? The answer is simple, because in water molecule, as you see, there is 2 molecules of hydrogen, 1 molecule of oxygen. So therefore, when it gets separated, there will be more amount of hydrogen, less amount of oxygen. So this is all about electrolysis of water. So now let me tell you another examples under decomposition reaction. So these are the two reactions. Ag is silver, Cl is chlorine. So AgCl, silver chloride. Now this silver chloride is in the form of powder. In your textbook it is given as, you are taking a china dish. China dish looks something like this, or a watch glass. To it you will be putting AgCl powder. And this AgCl is exposed to sunlight. When it is exposed to sunlight, this AgCl is broken down to give Ag and Cl2. AgCl color is white. When you expose this white colored silver chloride to sunlight, it will decompose into Ag and Cl2. After decomposition, the whatever powder will be remaining, it will be greyish in color. It will be greyish in color. So there is change in color happening because of decomposition of the compound when you expose the reactant to sunlight. This is one type of reaction. Another one is, you are taking 2 molecules of AgBr, that is silver bromide, and again the same thing, when you expose this powder to sunlight, we will be getting 2Ag plus Br2. So this is all about the examples under decomposition reaction. So now, looking into the reactions, we can summarize that decomposition reaction is of 3 different types. First one is thermal decomposition reaction. So for this examples was ferrous sulfate on heated giving you ferric oxide, sulfur trioxide, sulfur dioxide. Those examples come under thermal decomposition reaction. The next one is electrolytic decomposition reaction. So for this reaction, the example was splitting of water, which is very much important. It is having the diagram in this is very much important. Here in thermal decomposition reaction, why the color of a phase of food changes, that is important. And the third one is these. Photolytic decomposition reaction. So under decomposition reaction, we have 3 subtypes. Thermal decomposition reaction, a reaction in which heat, thermal means heat, so a reaction in which heat energy is required in order to decompose a reactant to give products, that is decomposition reaction. Electrolytic decomposition reaction is a type of reaction in which electricity is used to carry out this decomposition reaction. Photolytic decomposition reaction is a type of reaction in which light, photo means light, light is being used in order to carry out decomposition reaction. So these are the 3 different types of decomposition reaction and their examples.